When we raise the money, everything will be way easier. In reality, the other way around. If you want to have good conversion from investors, you need to get warm introductions. We worked on ours 15 times, like at least 15 versions of the pitch deck. At the end of the day, it's about relations. People need to trust you to invest in you.
Alex Kajamiakin is the 24-year-old co-founder and CEO of Yotewo, a startup on a mission to simplify how companies hire world-class tech talent. Despite his young age, Alex has already launched multiple ventures, some hits, some misses, and now he's fresh off closing his first VC funding round. In this episode, he breaks down exactly how he did it, sharing practical, no-fluff advice for founders who are raising right now. If you're in the fundraising game, this one's for you. Let's get into it.
Alexander, thank you so much for coming once again.
Thank you for
We were having so much the first time that it was inevitable to have you again.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm very glad to be here again.
Thank you again. Yeah, thank you. And of course, but we should note that the main reason why we invited you is that because very recently you reached one of the most, one of the most important and I would say difficult milestones.
Yeah.
Yeah, you raised your first investment.
The pre-seed round, yeah.
Exactly, for your startup Yotewo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had to get your experience, we had to, what you learned, and in general, how did you find it? And how does it feel having crossed that threshold?
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I think the first thing is it feels different from what I expected it to feel, 100%.
Okay. So what did you expect and how did it feel?
So I expected very simple thing. I expected when we raise the money, everything will be way easier because obviously we have the funding, things are not that tough. In reality, the other way around. It turns out that, well, in reality, you have way more things to do now. The way that team works and the way your own mindset works now is way more difficult because you have the responsibility to bear in front of investors. You have, the milestones that you need to reach 100%, not just for attraction, but you actually need to reach them to get through with the next raising. So there are quite a few things, and it's more challenging, but definitely more interesting, 100%. Like after that, whenever anyone asks me whether I should still bootstrap or like get the fundraising, 100% get the fundraising. This experience is really, really I love it.
Okay, it's good that you had that kind of attitude, like you loved it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I don't think it was easy.
It wasn't easy, no, 100%. It wasn't easy. It took us quite a while. I would say from like very beginning, from A to Z, it took about half a year in total, 6 months. Most time took just the communication itself, to be honest, just setting up the list of investors, setting up some communication with them, trying to find ways to, get in touch with them in a bit more warm way than the cold way. So yeah, all of that took a while. And then, the formal process of, closing the deal took another maybe 2 months. So yeah, it was quite a journey, yeah.
Okay, I think it would be great if you kind of divided this into stages.
Yep.
The fundraising. Tell us deeper your insights on every stage and the process in general, how it worked. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
How would you call just the stage?
The very
very
one.
beginning.
Yeah, 100%. So first of all, I would say you need to identify how much you really want and can raise, like in terms of the amount. That's very important because I recently see after we raised, like a lot of people start coming to me, like just asking, feedback on their raise. And in reality, many people, they just don't understand the market at all. For example, they have, traction of the pre-seed and they go raise the amount for like late seed stage, for example. So these kind of things, they're pretty important because if you reach out to a fund with this kind of proposal, they obviously understand that you're not, you don't have a market knowledge. And first thing first, like be realistic and define how much you really, really need because every market has their own standards and UK has their standards as well. If you're like pre-seed and you have some basic traction, don't try to raise, the round of a, Series A or something. So first of all, define like the actual amount that you need and can raise. And the next thing, like I would say this one is probably the most important in the whole process, is to I don't have a specific name for that, but I just have it in my mind. You need to narrow down your search. Well, obviously, first of all, you need to create the list of potential investors. But the idea here is the key to getting the right investor is to narrow it down to certain criteria that will be a perfect fit for your startup. For example, I'll give you an example. If you are, let's say, immigrant founder in London, if you're doing B2B SaaS for the UK market in some specific industry, that's a lot of inputs already. And in reality, in London, there are thousands of funds, and you can easily find those ones who target those specific niches. And in this way, it will be way easier to target them, because they all have their own standards of who they want to invest in, like when do they want to invest. So those kind of things are inevitable. Like you need to narrow it down, like by niche, by business model, by location, by everything. That's pretty important. I think that's the main one. That's the first stage. Yeah.
Okay. So what stage was your startup at when you decided to raise? And why did you decide to raise at that stage and not maybe later or earlier?
Yeah, I think when we actually decided to raise, it was pretty early on. I had this mindset from the very beginning that if you're doing the product, you need to raise. Product is not like a service business; it's slightly different. And to build a good product, you need a lot of funding. You need a good big team, big commercial proposal. And I decided that we will raise from the very beginning. Like as soon as I got the team in with this idea, we're targeted to raise from the very beginning. And then when we actually started to raise is when we had an MVP in place and when we started getting traction in terms of the revenue. That's it. So those two things, not only revenue actually, but also like partnerships, some potential things like that. When we started having this more or less viable, we started actually reaching out, the first initial reach out.
So, okay, you started reaching out after getting revenue already.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because it's always better to show investors that you already have something. One way to do it is obviously get in touch early and then kind of keep them updated about what's going on. That's one way. But for me, I think it was better to come straight in with something already. So I think that really depends, but it does make a big difference. Yeah.
Okay, so when you already started taking action in terms of fundraising,
Yeah.
you made a list of potential investors
Yeah.
and narrowed them down, and then reached out via email, LinkedIn, or what?
Yeah.
Which one worked the best for you?
Yeah. So I think it's very clear here. We had a database, like not a database, but like a list of a few hundred investors. We tried different ways. We tried like LinkedIn reach out, we tried email reach out, we tried applying on the websites and stuff. I think first thing to mention is in our case, we were targeting mostly VCs. Like we were initially looking at the VC market. We're not talking to angels that much. We were talking to them, but we didn't, focus on that too much. So just VCs, some family offices. And I think there is like kind of a golden rule that my friend taught me, that if you want to have good conversion from investors, you need to get warm introductions in one way or another. Because if you like apply on the website, the chances of conversion are super low. Email, LinkedIn, super low, like the extremely low. And but if you actually, the key thing here is to understand from all those big lists which funds are really suitable for you, which will have the highest chance of investing, and then try to find your way to them through someone. I think that's the key thing. And it can be many ways. You can, see what events are they coming at, or you can see who from the network might know them, or I don't know, alumni or whatever. Like there are so many ways. But the key thing here is to identify which ones are like the right ones, because there are like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 criteria that you need to fit to match with them. So yeah, I think that's pretty much like it was. Yeah.
Okay, so I see. Referrals and warm introductions are the most effective. I think, yeah, we all know that. Nice, very good. Let's come to when, let's say, you already got introduced to several VCs, and what came next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you get introduced, you obviously get on the intro call. You get to know them, and they get to know you. I mean, the number one thing is pretty obvious one, but pitch deck, you need to like that's the first thing they'll ask for, and the financial model. That's the second thing. Like financial model is something that as important as pitch deck. You need to have it like together always. Then further on, there will be more things that obviously you need to show, but these two are the most important ones. In my opinion, like what they look for is, well, mainly the team, because the team is the main thing, the main driver of everything. The market is pretty important. Like no one will invest in a market that is small or just not efficient for investment. So the team, the market, and the traction. So and the traction is it's very tricky point, because traction can be not only in revenue. There are like hundreds of ways you can do traction, starting from like, I don't know, wait list of users and to like letter of intents from some corporations. Like it doesn't really matter, as long as you have the revenue, the traction, and they see that this is like the real traction, the actual traction that you can then convert to higher volume when they invest. This is something you need to do. Yeah, and in terms of the how it goes, like you get on the first call, and then it gets pretty clear on the first call whether they're interested or not, I think, in my opinion, because I had a couple calls that, went really well in terms of the like outreach. They were interested. Then we get on the call, we have a call, and I understand that it's not really there. I think we had this call with Accelerator in Canada and with someone else, I don't remember, but there were some cases like that. And yeah, if everyone is interested, you go through a couple more calls, and then but it can take long. Like it really depends for the fund. It really depends on where the fund is and whether they need to invest like immediately or they have some free time for that. So it really depends on that, but it will take some time in any case. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Okay, well, pitch deck, of course. I mean, pitch deck, everybody gets
Yeah.
prepares. You can perfect it as much as you can, yes. And I think this it depends on the team, founders, or I just want to ask about financial model. Financial model is not always how to say. If you don't have any financial background, it may be hard to prepare by financial model. So did you get a financial advisor, or do you have maybe accountant or financial strategist in your team?
Yeah, no, we did it ourselves. It was just me. Yeah, it was just me. The thing is that financial model, let me put it this way: first of all, you need to not only have it like just as a document, but you need to understand it precisely. You have so many like indicators that you need to be very aware of. For example, if you increase this one, what's going to happen with that one? You need to know this, because investors will ask that, and if you don't know this, it's kind of like you can't just refer to an accountant to double check that. You need to know these numbers. And in terms of the actual financial model, the thing is, yeah, you need to get to understand how to build it, but because it's pre-seed stage, you don't have to, it can be variable. It can be not precise financial model, and it's completely like clear for everyone, and everyone expects that, because you're just starting and you understand that the economics, like it will change with the time. So it might change with the time. So in terms of the expectations, you just need to have this basic understanding of how the math works in terms of like your unit economy and things like that. But obviously not like a super deep knowledge. It's not the financial model that you will submit for Series A. That's like a totally different thing. But you need to have it. You need to be able to play with it to see where it goes, things like that. So yeah, I would say you can do it. Well, you can get someone to do it for you. And it's reasonable, because it will be better quality maybe, but still you need to understand it. That's the key thing. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
And for the pitch deck, it's it actually, yeah, it has to be perfected as much as you can. Like we worked on ours 15 times, like at least 15 versions of the pitch deck we updated. So that's pretty important one. And in reality, like if you compare the first versions and the last ones, like they're drastically changing. Like they're so different from each other. And in reality, like the last one that actually we're working with now, it's way simpler and straightforward than any other ones. Like that was my lesson from that. Yeah.
Okay. Concise, simple.
Yeah, concise, simple, straightforward storytelling. Yeah, storytelling for sure, because investors, like, doesn't matter angels or VCs, they need to see like not only the market, but on the pitch deck they want to see how it's actually going to work. And I don't mean like the screens of the app. I mean like they need to understand who is going to use it, why someone is going to use it, some things like that. So storytelling is, I think, pretty important. You can kind of like replace it with actual pitching of the storytelling, but still it's better to implement it in the pitch deck. You need to explain like, okay, this person has this pain. He's going to be using us this way. Why invest now? Because the market is like this now. So it's not only about numbers, but it's also about like how everything works. And yeah, I think it's always good to include it in the pitch. And also, like keep it short. Like I suggest like 12, 13 slides is like the max that you can go. Because I see people like submitting like 20 slides, 25 slides. It's crazy. Like no one's gonna look through that, I think.
I see. Okay, yeah. I see. Very good points on pitch deck. Thank you. All right. So you reached out. You had your first meetings, and if you understand, you said that you understand if VC or investor or angel investor doesn't matter. They are not. If they are not interested, you kind of understand, right? Bill? On the first meeting.
Yeah.
But for example, if they are interested, how, with your situation, how did it go with the ones who were interested or kind of interested? How did
Yeah.
you proceed?
Yeah, it was very interesting to be honest. I think the main indicator, like if people are interested, is they're asking questions. Like, if the VC is not like, I've seen VCs, for instance, I've met with them in person even, and I told them, look, here is the concept, let me know your thoughts, and they didn't have any questions for me. And that's like clearly they don't want to invest. And in my opinion, even if you don't want to invest, still ask questions because it's always good to understand something. But yeah, anyways, if there are questions, yeah, you definitely see that there is some interest. In terms of how it went further, so we had this like kickoff call, just to introduce to each other, and then we had another call like similar to the first one, just a bit more in details. And in our case, it was actually interesting because then we took quite a big break in terms of the time between communicating on that time and later communication. It was maybe like 1.5 months we didn't talk. And that's actually very interesting because obviously we had this chat, they were interested, we were interested, but like, just on the surface level. And then usually from the VCs, like if they're not interested, you hear no from them very quickly. Like they're like, in 1 week, they're like, no, we're very interesting opportunity, but our priorities are different. And with these guys, it was very smooth because I didn't hear back from them any negative feedback. We're just kind of like kept in touch. And then I reached out again in a few weeks, maybe like a month or a month and a half. And they were like, yeah, we were also busy. Let's get on another call. And that's when we get on another call and we started getting into more details in terms of the financials and everything. And then it took us maybe a couple more calls. And one day they were like, let's do in-person meeting. Come to our office, like let's meet there. You'll meet with like some of the decision makers, like let's meet. So we had to meet in the office with them. It was great. It was a great experience, to be honest. I really liked that meeting. We met in the office. It also took some time, like maybe a week or something to get back after that meeting. And then the next meeting we proceeded with like, okay, so do you guys have these like documents and things? So we were getting more close to the actual like deal. And that was when we applied for SEIS, EIS thingy. And we, kind of after that, we received it very quickly. We received it super quick. And after that, we kind of, get to the actual deal. And we started already discussing like, okay, so when do you guys want to close it? Here are the terms. And gradually, we received the term sheet from them. We had maybe a bit of time of like working on the term sheet, and then then we signed it, and that's it. And then we signed SSA and just close the deal. So it was, the finishing part was quick. It was actually pretty quick. Oh, and obviously I forgot the due diligence. So after we signed the term sheet, the due diligence started, which was at least 6 weeks. It was at least 6 weeks, and it was pretty exhausting in terms of the time because you need to compile everything. But in reality, I think that's a great thing to do. Like the diligence is such a great thing because obviously you get a bit tired, but you have everything organized. Literally everything you have on your company, you have in one place. You have clear understanding of where is what. And also, it's useful for future rounds because you'll need it anyways. For any financial round or fundraising round, you'll need it. So it's good to, get started with this and, get experience.
Okay, that's great. So you kind of from the beginning. I mean, not the beginning, but from the first like meeting, you kind of were inclined to one of the VCs, and they were open to discussing with you, or were there like different like options that
There were
you
options. Yeah, there
that you
were
considered?
options. Yeah, there were options. And I think in total, like the maximum we're trying to stick to is talking to like 3, 4, 5 VCs max. Obviously, if you go over that, you kind of like, focus on too many things. But we were talking to a few ones, but gradually, as you progress with all of them, you understand which ones are ready, which ones are less ready. You kind of can understand where you can narrow down your time. So yeah, we were talking to a few, but in terms of the like how many was from the total reach out, it was like very very low conversion. We reached out like we had a base of maybe a few hundred, and then we're like the ones we were talking to were like 5 or something. Like the actually talking. Yeah, we had the feedback from more of them, but the actual ones that we were talking to were like 5 or something. Yeah.
I see, I see. So did you reach out to UK VCs, or did you reach out to US and other markets as well?
So I didn't reach out to US, but mainly reached out to the UK VCs. Also reached out to some of the Eastern European ones and Armenian ones and those ones. But it went okay with some of them. Didn't went okay with others. But mostly we will focus on the UK as well because in our case like it has to be smart money. Like it has to be not just the funding, but it has to be like the network, everything. So for us, it was always the priority to like have the UK, not even the US, just the UK. Yeah,
Oh, I see. So which VC did you settle with?
yeah. It's called Simvan Capital. It's
Cement?
Simvan Capital. Yeah, it's great VC. It's SEIS EIS fund. They've been on the market for I believe about 12 years already, so they're quite experienced, and it's been just great with them. Like I can't even really have any sort of. It's just only great feedback with them. Yeah.
Amazing. So you mentioned SEIS and EIS. Can you just in one sentence tell us what is SEIS, EIS? How did you apply? Who did you apply with?
Yeah. Of course.
I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of
I get it.
recommendations
Yeah.
could you give?
Of course. So, in long story short, I was trying to get this myself as well when I just started. It wasn't easy for me to understand it from nothing. But essentially, SAIS is an incentive for investors in the UK to invest in startups. The way it works, it gives you allowance on your tax reduction, in my understanding. And it applies to single angels who invest, but it also applies to places where angels come as a syndicate, whether it's a VC, whether it's a angel network or whatever. So it's essentially an incentive to invest more money into startups, which is really cool. And I think a lot of other countries should follow this scheme to actually increase their innovation. So yeah, the long story short, I applied very quickly. It's not a huge application, but it has its own like bottlenecks that you need to be aware of. So we applied. I applied with help of my VC because they are SIS EIS VC, so they provided very good recommendations on what to change, what is okay. And we also had recommendations from one of our partners, Undo Capital. Those guys are like doing legal tech platforms, so they are helping with SEIS, EIS
Okay,
application.
Undo-
Undo Capital.
Undo Capital.
Yeah, Undo Capital.
So they are kind of a legal services?
They're a legal/financial platform. So they essentially help with making the deals happen. They help with legal things and stuff like that. So yeah, we kind of used both suggestions and applied, and we got it very quickly. We got it in like 3 to 5 days, something like that. So it was incredibly quick. When a lot of people they wait for it, for like a month or a month and a half. So we were pretty lucky to get it quick. Yeah, and actually it helped us to boost the deal because we received it quick and kind of it helped to get through.
Yeah, you didn't lose any momentum.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, it was very smooth.
Exactly. Yes.
Great. You raised 250,000 co, right? All right.
Exactly.
So I just want to ask this. During this whole process of fundraising,
Yeah.
what was, how would I say, game-changing method maybe, or something? I understand that sometimes, not in your case, I guess, because you kind of, everything went very gradually and quite smooth, right?
Well,
But I know that some startups have raised for years, but they can't raise, and sometimes they'll change something in their attitude, maybe, or they try some other options, and it kind of works. But did it happen in your case? And maybe was there something that really helped raising? Was there some prioritized something that helped you get there faster, maybe?
Yeah, of course. So I think two things. One is like kind of my advice to people, and the second one is the actual strategy that we used. So in terms of advice, get to know the market really well in terms of the numbers. So how everything works. What are the numbers you can raise? What are the valuations that you can raise? Get those things very clear, because it seems that it's not a big deal, but when you come to the VC and you have some number that is out of your head, doesn't match the reality, that's not a good thing to do. I had this like friend of mine, really one of the best friends, and he is saying always the thing that in UK, just the idea has a value of £1 million. So, and if you have something more than an idea, like attraction or something else, it goes over 1 million. So it's important to kind of like, I don't say this is a standard thing to do, but it's kind of good to, have this as a base, because if people come and they are pre-seed and they don't have much and they set up super low valuation or super high valuation, it just discourages investors because it doesn't make sense to them. If founders might think, look, I'll put lower valuation and the investors will get higher percentage, that doesn't make the situation better, because it's a red flag for investors. If you put too high valuation and you think, yeah, my company is super cool, I'm like next OpenAI, I'll have the crazy valuation, it's also not good, because it is a market and they need to work within the market. So I think the first thing first, like learn the numbers in terms of like how much to raise, how much you can raise, what do you need to raise certain numbers and things like that. And then that's on the advice part. On the strategy part, it's getting back to our like beginning of the conversation. Really, I think identifying the right investors, because I'm always saying there are extremely many ways of fundraising: VCs, angels, crowdfunding, angel networks, single angels, I don't know, grants, whatever. Like there's some family offices, there are so many ways, and they all have different approach to investing. For example, if you're talking about angels, angels invest on the basis of emotional connection. So for example, if I see some founder that is struggling with something that I struggled before and I know the pain, I will be very likely to invest. With VCs, doesn't work. Like that's not the same thing. With family offices, it's different. They are more hands-on. They want to get more into the core of the business, the operations. So it really varies. With grants, some people just raise from the grants constantly, and that's like totally different thing. With crowdfunding, like the audience has to be your customer. It's so many ways. So I think the ideal way is to understand like where are you in the market, because in our case, I'll just give a pretty simple example. In our case, we were pretty clear. We're like pre-seed, UK market. We are future of work industry. We are B2B only. We don't work with like consumers. We are a marketplace model. We are implementing AI. That's already like 6. We are immigrant founders. That's like already 7 things that will make your, I don't know, 2,000 investors down to like 50 or 70, So it really is about like building this strategy of who will be very likely to invest into you, and building relations with them from the very beginning. Like, find out which events they go into, try to get some introduction to them, just start building relations, because at the end of the day, like I know we live in the digital age, but at the end of the day, it's about relations. People need to trust you to invest in you, and that's pretty simple. And any smart investor would follow that first. Like they need to trust you. So, in my opinion, so I think advice is like know the numbers, know the math, know the economy in terms of like the market, and the actual strategies, like narrow it down as much as possible. I think that's very important. Yeah.
It's amazing advice, actually. I think it's very how to say, practical.
Yeah, I hope. I hope. I
You would
hope.
actually like apply this.
Yeah.
That's great. So you said that you will be raising again in half a year, maybe, right?
Around that time we'll start. Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
definitely.
So, what will you do differently then to what you did now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the core thing here to understand is that pre-seed varies from seed slightly a lot. In reality, like in the pre-seed stage, you need to find, like, you have this first year of runway to find some initial product market fit. It's not even about, like, grabbing the part of the market or something, but it's to like position yourself in the right way so that you can grow. So in our case, our target for this year is to, our main target is UK market. We work with other markets, but we don't focus specifically on them. Our target is to take our niche in the UK market, take our bit of the market, and then grow from there. In terms of the round, so for the seed round, what I would do differently, and I am already doing it differently. I started building a pipeline of investors already. Like, the core thing here is to, keep the people engaged, keep them updated about the progress, because when it comes to the seed round and later, that's not the as easy decision to make as a pre-seed round. It's bigger numbers, the due diligence is tougher, the traction has to be higher, more consistent, things like that. So I would say start, like, building this pipeline of investors from the very beginning. I already started doing this, and also find creative ways to to partner with them, to talk with them, to bring them some value in. Like, it's not only about just emailing them, hey, that's our progress, like, how are you? No, it's actually about building personal relations with them. So I would say this what I would do differently. Also, in terms of I mean, it's for every round, but you need to be more and more detailed and concrete about your business. You have to have all the details, everything in place. Pre-seed is kind of like you are, still on a playground a little bit, and you have, like, this chance of, doing something wrong at the seed round. That's a bit different cost. So I would say these two things, yeah.
Okay, great. So you will be more invested in building the relationships.
100%. And actually, that's one of the things that I really enjoy, is that as we raise the pre-seed round, we increase the team, and we divided responsibilities in the team very precisely. Like, that's the good thing. For example, Alci, she's doing purely on commercial side. Dennis, our operational director, he's only dealing with operations. Like other people, for example, only marketing, only design, only product. And in this case, it really helps because it doesn't. Leaves me enough time to focus on what I do, which is finances and partnerships, and that works great. I mean, that works for me.
That's great, actually. I think, yeah, without the team, nobody can do everything.
Of course.
And even if you do, it won't be efficient, I think. So,
course, yeah.
so right now you're three of you
Yeah.
tackling the different sides.
Yeah, different sides, and we, like, a lot of people start to join. We have amazing advisors joining the company. We have some people who just voluntarily they come and they're like, look, we'll help you with this, with that. We're just interested to grow with you, and not like some interns or people that just want experience, but people with super nice background that just see the potential. So yeah, and actually coming back to the question of, like, what I would do differently. Not what I would do differently, but what I would suggest to people: don't underestimate advisors. Advisors is a very, very, very important thing, and they actually not only your key to introductions and network, but also they are proof. They're proving the fact that your business is worth something, because if they are committed to becoming an advisor, and there are people from, like, the bigger companies, the experienced people, it's also a very big indicator for investors. If you have an advisor from, I don't know, JP Morgan, from someone senior from JP Morgan, it means your startup is probably makes sense financially, So just as an example, I think this is something to take into consideration as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think
Thanks.
we covered quite a lot. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think it's I think it's pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, we covered pretty much everything.
I say, yeah, I think we've gone really really deeply into this
Yeah.
topic, and I really loved it actually.
Hope it was useful.
Yeah, and but before you leave, we want to get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
Not the business, but
Okay.
Alexander behind the business. Yeah. So you like 5 quick questions, very quick questions, and
Okay.
uh,
Okay, I'm nervous now. No, I'm
it
joking.
says, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what's one thing about you that most people don't know?
What most people don't know. I'm like my favorite present when people give me presents, and my favorite present and my favorite thing to do is like building Lego construction. You know, constructor Lego. You know, Lego. I'm so crazy about it, and I don't know. It comes to me from the childhood, but I'm such a big fan of it. People probably think I like some I don't know classic business things, but that's like when I really really enjoy my time. Like I'm just doing this. So yeah,
That's great. It's good to know that because we will know what to give you. Okay, for your, I don't know, for any kind of. Yeah, is there an extra? Okay, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
oh, that's an interesting one. Dinner with historical figure.
It doesn't have to be historical, actually. It can be famous, somebody famous, or anybody that you fancy.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Um, hmm. Let me have a thought. Let me have a think about this one. Let's get to the next
Okay.
one, but I'll have a thought on that
Alright.
one.
What's the best book, podcast, or movie that has inspired you recently?
Okay, for the movie, so yeah, I think for the books or podcast, not that much. I think in terms of the movies, I really let me have a thought. I wasn't ready for the quiz. Let me have a thought. So for the movie, for me it works a bit weird. I don't look like those like motivational movies about business or something. But I watched something else, and it kind of like something from totally other topic, and it kind of inspires me to do something in my life. I'll think of like what movie was it? There was one I just don't remember like what was it about, but it was recently, and we watched it with my wife, and it was just like I was super excited about it, but I forgot the name. I'll text her and ask now. Okay, I'll ask. I'm getting out of the questions. No, I'll ask, but there was something.
You don't remember what was it about? But you remember the
I
name.
either. Oh yeah, remember it was okay. I remember it was a horror movie called Heretic. It was.
Okay, this Neda, what was his name?
No, here, no, it was not. Yeah, probably Hiram. I think it was Uganda. Yeah.
So I just love this movie, and yeah, I mean it was very interesting topic on religion, and
Let's watch it then.
yeah, it's not like it has nothing to do with business or entrepreneurship or something, but it gives you a lot of thoughts to to have, because it's very questionable in terms of the who is good, who's bad, what's the outcome of the movie. And yeah, when I watched this, I was telling all my family about it like next day, like you need to watch it, you need to watch it. So yeah, not inspired, but kind of gave me food for thoughts, I think. Yeah.
Amazing. So, if you weren't doing what you're doing now,
Yeah.
what career or role would you love to try?
I would go into construction, 100%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would go into construction. I would still be on the entrepreneurial side of things, but I was definitely go into construction. I think, yeah, 100%. I was thinking about it a lot, and there are so many industries that I like kinda, but I wouldn't never see them like see myself in them. And the one I would probably is construction, but kind of like in parallel universe, because I like it, but I know that in reality, that's not my thing. It's just kind of like
Yeah, you like it.
Yeah,
That's like a little bit, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So, I guess I know the answer to this, but I'll ask, what's your go-to activity or go-to place to unwind after a tough day, week, or month?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I was also asked it recently. So for me, it's very simple. The only way I can actually relax, like when I really feel relaxed, is if I just go to the countryside with my wife. That's as simple as that. And ideally to the place where there is no Wi-Fi, there is nothing. Like I don't even take my phone, because she knows I'm on the phone all the time. Like family dinner, vacation, whatever, I'm always on the phone, because I'm this kind of person. For me, it's very difficult to get the work out of my mind. Like I always have it in my mind, and I always have it like in reality, because everyone is like calling me, texting me, whatever. And for me, the only way is like to just, go to the countryside, somewhere in, I don't know, south of England or north of England. There is no internet, and you kind of have no other way other than relax. So I think that's the best for me.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, do you want to come back to that question about?
So the question about the historical person, I don't want to say any entrepreneurs because kind of like I think there are more interesting people than entrepreneurs to have a chat with. I would probably I don't know. I would probably talk to someone in terms of politics. I'll get to the answer very slowly, but it will definitely be someone from the politics, and I think from the, like older politics, not like current politics. Either to someone from the old British politics, or okay, let's keep that question. But no, sorry, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just saying political, and I said no, it probably wouldn't be political. So I kind of like don't know. But yeah, let's keep this one.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, well, thank you so much again.
No,
I
thank
think
you.
it was great. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Likewise.
And yeah, so until next time, until your next round.
Thank you so much, Adele. It was great to have a chat.